You know what the Bhagavad Gita actually says? It says, lift yourself up by yourself and never degrade yourself. Because you are your own best friend and your own worst enemy. That line alone destroys 90% of what people today call spirituality. Because what most people practice isn't spirituality. It's what I call spiritual sedation. It is the art of doing nothing but feeling superior for it. They call it peace, I call it running away. Let's be honest. Somewhere along the way, spirituality became a performance. People have started to think that growing out their hair, wearing loose linen, going to a yoga class once a week, and saying that the universe will provide makes them awakened. They think that being broke, passive, and indifferent is a virtue. They'll tell you, I am detached, but what they really mean is, I gave up. They say that money doesn't matter, but that's what people say when they've failed to earn it. They talk about energy, alignment, and vibrations, but they can't even wake up on time. The Sanātana path was never about escaping reality. It was about dominating it. Krishna didn't tell Arjuna to go meditate in a cave. He told him to fight with clarity, with detachment, and with excellence. And that is the part that people like to skip because fighting for your career, your health, your stability, your truth, that is hard. So we replaced effort with words of affirmation. We replaced action with hashtags, and we started confusing weakness for wisdom. Real spirituality was never meant to make you softer. It was meant to make you sharper. The rishis of India weren't passive. They were disciplined. They woke before dawn, mastered their minds, mastered their bodies, and then mastered the world. They could build empires or walk away from them because they were free in both directions. Now today, spirituality has become another aesthetic. You go to Goa, dance barefoot under flashing lights, do a bit of breath work, and you think that you've transcended suffering. But look around. The so-called spiritual people are often the most scattered, broke, and anxious ones because spirituality without structure collapses into chaos, and without discipline, meditation turns into daydreaming. Without direction, detachment turns into apathy, and without strength, peace turns into paralysis. You see, even outside of India, the greatest minds understood something similar, that life demands strength of spirit. Nietzsche talked about the will to power, and not domination, but the inner force to rise above your own weakness. Now, Nietzsche wasn't some saint. His ideas were dangerous if misunderstood, but behind his madness was a truth that comfort will kill greatness. Now, look at Alexander the Great. Yes, he conquered through blood. You don't have to admire that, but understand the mindset, the absolute clarity of purpose, no hesitation, total belief. He proved that conviction can bend the world even if his way was flawed. Same goes for Ashoka, a man who went from ruthless conqueror to disciplined monk king. He realized that peace without power is hollow, and power without wisdom is destruction. Now, that balance of fire and restraint is what spirituality actually looks like. Even Napoleon, for all his ego, carried a lesson that when someone told him he lacked the line of greatness on his palm, he sliced one into his own hand. Now, don't take that as cruelty, but take that as conviction. That is what the Gita calls udhyayam, effort, the readiness to create the line of destiny instead of waiting for it. Now, none of these men were perfect. Some caused suffering, and some lost their souls and ambition, but perfection isn't the point. The point is that they moved, they acted, they believed that the divine works through will and not through waiting. That is the essence of Sanātana Dharma, to channel strength through dharma, not deny it out of fear of being unspiritual. I think that people get this strange comfort in pretending to be above it all because you can blame destiny for your failures and call it surrender. You can hide from competition and call it non-attachment. You can avoid pain and call it peace, but every scripture, be it the Gita, Yoga Sutras, Upanishads, they say the same thing. To raise yourself, to discipline yourself, to master your mind so you can master the world and not escape it. The mind is a battlefield, not some sort of beach resort. You're not here to float, you're here to forge yourself. You can't serve your family, your dharma, your community if you're weak, broke, and lazy. You can't meditate your way out of hunger or incompetence. You can chant mantras all day, but if you can't keep promises, what's the point? True spirituality shows in how you walk into a room, your posture, your focus, your word. It's not just your beads or your Instagram quotes, it's your discipline. The most spiritual thing that a man can do today, in my opinion, is to build something real, take care of his body, and protect his mind from noise. Earn with integrity, lead with compassion, but never with fear. Because dharma isn't about being harmless, it's about being powerful and choosing not to harm. So if your version of spirituality makes you weaker, slower, or poorer, it's not spirituality. It is some sort of self-deception that you're playing with yourself. Don't aim to be calm, aim to be clear. Don't aim to escape the world, but aim to elevate in it. Because the Gita wasn't written for monks in caves, it was written for warriors in chaos. And the truth is simple. God doesn't want you to be passive. He wants you awake, disciplined, and alive. That is real spirituality. Not just how softly you speak, but how strongly you stand. And I'll tell you my opinion. Real spirituality can mean being rich, being influential, and being powerful. It can mean leading companies, running nations, building empires, as long as your core is pure and your actions aligned with Dharma. Because if good people aren't strong, then who will lead? If good people stay broke, weak, and silent, then the throne is left for the corrupt and the careless. Spirituality doesn't reject success, it refines it. It doesn't hate power, it sanctifies it. It doesn't demand that you hide from life, it dares you to master it. So go make money, go get strong, go become someone people listen to, because the world needs spiritual people at the top, not hiding at the bottom. That is the term of this age, not retreat, but to rise.